Hola. So I'm sitting here on this weekend. If you saw the last video, what are you gonna do? Which, ironically enough, when the day had about, I don't know, 600 views or something on TikTok and on YouTube, about three. I have no subscribers. It's a tiny channel. I don't care about that, but I just find it interesting when you put a description of what you're gonna say, and certain platforms will allow you to talk about certain things, others won't allow you to talk about certain things. Like, they just suppress it. I mean, which is hilarious. Like, suppressing, just the idea of suppressing someone as small as myself is like you can barely suppress it into anything less. But anyways, how long have I talked for? Almost a minute. Am I allowed to say certain words? Probably not. But this all the stuff with Jeff, not Jefferson, uh, Augstein, uh, yeah, that guy. Uh, I don't know. I don't care. Epstein. You know, this is the Epstein administration. They're calling him now. It's interesting because the more you look at all the stuff that was mentioned in there. I mean, this guy was talking about shorting the financial crisis of 2008 before it ever happened. Um, he was talking about 9/11 before it happened. He's talking about towers. He's talking about there's a lot of communications, like with different people, um, prior to these events. And the DOJ clearly has made it. If you go to James Lee, check out his reporting. And then Ian Carroll's got some really cool stuff in the works, where we can search the files using AI, because it's impossible to search these files. And they made it that way on purpose. And there's 6 million files or something now, and they only released 3 million. And they said that's all of them, and we're not releasing anymore. Uh, and then you look at just the tentacles of this thing, every major event and every government, and then all the banking, and then you go, I mean, Jesus, Rothschild? I mean, we all heard that name and knew a little bit about that and the history of banking. But man, I mean, if you don't know anything about what I'm talking about, like, jeez. Anyways, for those that do, when you think about all of these things going back, this is a century of coordinating power, right? So when you talk about systems working against the masses, I mean, my goodness. Well, like in the last video, what are you going to do? You know? How? And then, I'm as disappointed in the president of the United States currently as the next person, for a bunch of things. Happy with a bunch of things too. Still way better than the alternative. I mean, I believe in, when you only have two alternatives, this picking one doesn't mean you believe everything or down with everything that they do. But I mean, one person can only do so much, and that person almost got his, head blown right off. So, um, you think that didn't change some things for him? You know, who's to know if he hasn't been, maybe spoken to in a threatening way, by who knows who. I mean, basically, we're at a point where I think you're gonna have to have. Do we have more good people, courageous good people? Because the stakes are high, and when it comes to paying people off, and people are, if you're not just independent, if you need that money, like you got mortgage, kids, debt, whatever you got going on, gambling addictions, other whatever, it's easy to bribe people, especially when the economy is even worse and that money goes further. The bribery money goes further, or there's more people that are desperate, and the people that are desperate are more desperate than they used to be as a whole. Uh, I don't know when I don't know how, like, people expect one person. Like, I don't think one person can do anything about it, no matter what the president of the United States says. He's probably just trying to keep himself alive. You know, realistically. I mean, look at the lengths that they've gone to. If you really start to accept certain worldwide events that were not as organic as we may have thought, but had a very particular purpose, to strengthen control and the surveillance state, in the name of our safety. I mean, we've got digital ID prisons that are coming. They've already done it in India. They've done it in Brazil. They're signed off on it in the UK by the end of 2026. You're going to have a digital ID if you want to work. And they already have speech laws there that you can't say shit or you go to jail. So everyone's just going to self-censor. And then, I mean, you think the government can get away with a lot now? And we have somewhat free speech, although we're still suppressed on platforms if you talk about certain things. And the average Joe who's busy and has a full, happy life doesn't even have time to ask the question, let alone find a news source or stumble on a channel like mine or anyone's that may make them think a little differently just about the world they live in and what they could do, if anything, to, stop any of this. Like, I'm not trying to blackmail you. Like, there's things you can do, but I think the entitlement and taking for granted the quality of life that we've lived for a while is probably not going to be one of them in 10 or 15 years, or hopefully not less. But, 2030 is the date that they all put in place, and, WEF and all that stuff. So you think they stopped trying because they lost an election in the United States? I don't think it matters who gets in. Just slows them down maybe a little bit. That's all we can do for now, but and awareness. But anyways, I just thought it's interesting. Like, everyone, it's so popular just to shit on whomever, and the reality is, like, there's plenty to object about. Certainly for us in Canada, our fraudulent, treasonous prime minister, sinister Carney. Can't have a Carney without the clowns. Anyways, yeah, him or Trump. I mean, what's one person gonna do? Even if Pierre was to get in here, like, he's way better than the option, for any liberal side or whatever, for just economic and just balance a budget. Like, balance a budget and let's use our resources to get other countries, like, if you want to buy into, like, the carbon thing, like, if we just got India off of the coal that they're currently on with natural gas, LNG, whatever we want to, however we want to do it, develop that one India is like three Canadas. And not to mention, if we just got some water bombers out and really invested in that and managed our forests and stopped drying them out with glyphosate and other things to make it like kindling to enable crazy ass wildfires, if we actually spent some money on that and reduced our wildfires, we basically net zero as a country already. So there's no need to bankrupt our country and restrict our resource development in the name of climate, when we don't need to do that to be a good global partner, if you want to call it that. And we have people like China and India that are just going to do way worse things. And we even have areas in the States where the grids are so big for some of the electricity drains they're needing for various plants or various other things, that they're having to run coal plants to run whatever electricity and plants that they've got going on. It's just, it's got to come from somewhere. Anyways, that's a whole nother thing. I could get on to all of it, but I don't even know what the end point of this is. It's just, it's boggling to me. I didn't even realize. I mean, I knew what I thought I knew about the Epstein files, but this is crazy. It's literally, this is like make or break whether you want to live in this type of centralized, top-down power, corrupt system, or we need to, it needs to get blown up. Like, thousands of people need to go to jail. We have a jail just for these people. Oh, man. I don't know how do you do that? How does anyone? We got one guy arrested in I can't remember where it was. Was it Sweden or Norway? I can't remember. Somewhere over there. Pardon my ignorance or forgetting. But he was a former prime minister and he was in the file, so they arrested him for some corruption or something charges, or they've charged him with that, or I don't know. Anyways, or maybe they've arrested him and they haven't brought formal charges yet. I can't even remember how it was worded. My recollection, but you can look into it. I'm sure you can figure it out. I don't know. That's all I have to say. Just relaxing. I'm gonna go for a walk and get myself into a better mood. This is the one good thing that this is starting to help with my losing weight, because every time I talk about something, the most important things that are coming up as far as the world, whatever, are not very cotton candy and rainbows and butterflies and all that shit. So to balance out the black pilling, I go for a nice walk, and it's simpler and quieter there. Definitely something to be said for not being on this crap all the time. But anyways, till next time, get back to a normal life here pretty soon.